Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Faith, Family, and Finance. I am Sharindria Robinson, and I would be saying this is, yeah, but he's not with me today. I don't know. Maybe it's his birthday weekend and he just decided to take the whole weekend off. But his birthday was Friday. But Marcus is not with me today, but I'm sure he's somewhere downstairs watching us. Maybe he'll show up in the comments somewhere. But I am Sharingia Robinson here tonight, and I'm excited to be here tonight with two very special guests who joined us. And I don't take for granted that you've taken time out of your busy schedules to be with us tonight. And we are talking about our virtual women's experience that will take place next Saturday. Next Saturday, that is July 25th. July 25th from 12 noon to 4 p.m. And this is a ladies only. So, my guys, I know every week we have guys, you're on here because Marcus is here, and we have guys flooding the timeline and talking back and forth. Don't abandon me this week because Marcus is not here. Yes, you're like, Marcus is not here. We're not going to be here. But listen, share this broadcast. Type the names of some of your female friends, your sisters, your cousins, your mom, your grandmother. Type their names in so they can come in and join us join us on the session tonight. But we are talking about our virtual women's experience, unmasked, unfiltered, unashamed. And I'm delighted to have with me tonight Miss Larisha McDaniels and you didn't type your last name, Adriana Jones, who are with us tonight. And if I say Tasha, I'm still talking about Miss Jones. So I'm trying to get my brain to say because that's what you do. That's what you do when you grow up calling someone a certain name. So I'm happy to have them with me tonight. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for
Thank
having me.
So what I want you to do first is I'm going to ask, first of all, my viewers who are watching, come on, you know what to do. Go ahead and type your name in the comment box so I can see who you are, who's joining us today, and also let us know where you're watching from. That will be great. That would also be great. While I'll allow our presenters tonight, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself. So if you just tell us like who you are, and just a little bit about your background, then we'll jump right into our financial discussion.
Well, who you want to go first?
You're
Go
fine. Go
ahead,
ahead.
you talking.
Uh, well, I am Larisha McDaniel. I'm from a small town in South Carolina called Dalzell, South Carolina. I'm an educator in something school district. This is going on my 6th year being an educator, and I'm on the committee for this phenomenal experience of planning, of coming in wholeheartedly, trying to find out what do we need to do in order to serve the women of this current time. I am so glad to be a part of the team. I met Sharindra back in 2008 when we were part of a camp for young adults, for young women. So it has been a great experience, and I am so glad to be able to be a part of this committee to plan for so many women out there during this time or during this pandemic.
All right. Thank you so much, Larisha. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I am Adriana Jones. I am originally from Tolliver County, Crawfordville, Georgia. Currently reside in McDuffie County in Thompson, Georgia. I am also an educator. Just finished year 19. I am the associate superintendent for Tolliver County Schools in my native town of Crawfordville, Georgia. Wife of an associate pastor, mother, all of those things. I am also from the year 2020, the author of The Righteous Money Moment. I'm here on Facebook every Sunday morning. I'm just glad to be a part of this great conference. Sharindria is my cousin. She and my husband are first cousins. So she's my friend and my sister in Christ, but also family. And I'm just elated to be a part of this conference. And I will be presenting on Saturday on the topic of financial freedom.
Yes. So Adriana, let me bring this up. The righteous money moment. That's it, right? I got it right.
Yes, yes.
The righteous money moment. I enjoy reading The the righteous money moment. We're on this platform talking about faith, family, and finance every week, and it just depends. To me, they're all intertwined. So one week we may be lifting up more finances than faith. Another week we may be lifting up, something else. But they're all intertwined. And so when you started doing those righteous money moments, I was, laser focused, and I'm like, this is great. And I want you to and so I'm grateful, one, that you're going to be participating in our conference. And I want you to tell a little bit about share a little bit about your personal financial journey. Now, what we don't want to do, we don't want to give away all the tips for the conference because we want people to register. So, and while you're doing that, Larisha, we want people to register. So if we can insert the flyer so people can see more about that, Larisha, you can drop that in the comment bar. I think you can still do that in the registration information. But if you will just tell us, how did you get to this place of writing these righteous money moments? I mean, do you have an MBA, or you have your securities license, or you certified financial planner? I mean, how did you grow to this place of writing these moments that have just blessed so many people?
Okay. So for me, my journey in finance started when I was 15 years old. Apart from all of my life, my mom was very just financially savvy. When she set a budget when we were school shopping, if I went over by $2, I had to put something back. So there was always kind of this foundation that was placed there from the beginning of my life. But I started professionally sort of in finance when I was 15 years old. So the Board of Commissioners, they had bought a computer and they were looking for an assistant to their clerk to help with finances. And so at 15, in the 10th grade, I think it was somewhere around the month of October, I started to work there, and I worked under the clerk for the Board of Commissioners, and I just learned so much. Went to college, thought I was going to be a medical doctor, changed my mind senior year. I can remember the day that I called you freaking out saying, I don't want to do this, but my whole family expects it. What do I do? And so, yes, went into the field of education supposedly for 1 year, and I was getting out, and it was God leading me to part of my destiny. And then again, probably about 6 years ago, I started running federal grants for our school district. But even along the way, there was always sort of this tug and pull on me to change my finances. I knew that I was going to change my family story. So I don't have an MBA. It is a righteous money moment, which means it is God led from all of the professional training that I've had as an employee, working in finance, working in government, working with grants and all of those things, plus studying people like Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, Robinson coaches on Sunday night. I usually don't always get to watch at 9 o'clock because we're with the kids and with the family, but somewhere along the week. So I follow a lot of people. And in January, God spoke to me while talking to a colleague about just always giving advice and always helping people with budgets and always, helping people to plan to get out of debt. Because I know when the scripture says, that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, that if we don't change our stories from where we are now, then that doesn't happen. We leave our children with debt. We leave them wondering how they're going to pay for funerals. And if your house isn't paid off, your children end up carrying burdens that we have not taken care of. And so for me, it's been a personal journey. It's been a professional journey. And now it's a righteous God journey. So every Sunday morning, it's whatever God says. Sometimes he lays out the plan weeks at a time. Sometimes he waits until 9:30 Sunday morning to say what he wants to say. So, but whenever he says, we do. And so for me, also looking to get in the field of finance, I've been, talking with your brother somewhat throughout this year and looking kind of to get into real estate and those things as well. So my journey is bringing me to a place to where I just need to help not only God's people, but all of God's children do better so that our children and our grandchildren and our great grandchildren don't have to start over every generation.
Wow. I love it. I mean, I knew a lot about you, but I did just learn a little bit more about you. So thank you for your transparency and for sharing there. I want to go all the way back to the 15-year-old girl Let's
Okay.
go back to the 15-year-old girl. So at 15 years old, you began working in finance, really?
Yes.
At 15 years old.
15.
And who would ever thought, that it will propel to this day in this time of writing and creating the righteous money moments? When you look back, where we are now, we're roughly the same age. I mean, what message is it that you would give? What does that 15-year-old girl need to hear today? I think that's so important, like for all of us, like as we take a step back and we reflect and and realize. I heard someone else say this, and I just grabbed it, like that 15-year-old girl, like she really needs us. We really need to be who the child in us needs us to be right now, who the woman in us needs us to be right now. What is it that you would say to that 15-year-old girl right now?
I would absolutely say to her to seize every opportunity, for all of the lessons of life. And so for me, going to college, I kind of got lost in the credit card shuffle. Back then, they would literally sit on the campuses and they would
Oh
give out
yes.
cards. And for me, being very independent minded, it was a way for me not to have to say to my parents, I need something, even though they would do anything for me, but in my own mind, doing it my own way. And so I would simply say to her, take all the lessons learned, listen and read as much as you possibly can, and just hold fast to what you know and to the faith that you have, not looking at what the world would have you do, not thinking that because the world has all of these things, I have to have those things. I have to be involved in those things. I have to go to those places. I can't say no if somebody wants to go out. I can't say no if I'm offered these things. So I would just say to her, be true to who you are. Those things that you know are true, those things that you know are essentially who God created you to be. Live in her, walk her life out, and do it unapologetically. And so for me, just the last few years have been, just me being 100% comfortable with who God has called me to be and who He destined me to be. Have I lost relationships and friendships on that journey? I have. There are people who are still uncomfortable in the space that I'm in right now. But I would tell that 15-year-old girl, be okay in that space. And whoever is supposed to be there with you will be, and whoever isn't won't be. But it's okay as long as God is pleased. My theme for this year is live only for the applause of heaven. And it is my determination to do just that.
Oh, I'm typing that. I'm typing that. Live only for the applause. USC, I gotta know how to spell. Of heaven. All right. I love it. I love it. So many people need to hear that. I think as we grow older, and one of the things that happens to us as women, like we forget the voice of the little girl that's inside of us. And I say it's because the stresses of life, it's because of the heaviness of life, that the older we get, sometimes I feel like we stop laughing, we stop living, we stop loving, maybe because we've been hurt along the way. Our trust has been betrayed along the way. We've been misused and abused along the way, and we just a little bit of our light seems to go out. When I look at kids, and this is why adults and especially seniors, they get so much joy from watching kids, because I think there's a rekindling that's taking place inside of them, and they're remembering like what they used to be and what they used to be like, and you just wonder who put out our fire. And a lot of times when we talk about women and the load that we carry, um we don't have time to just come on a platform and enjoy ourselves. Which is why I want to invite you to Unmasked, Unfiltered, and Unashamed, the virtual women's experience. I want to invite you to that experience on Saturday. Larisha, will you do the commercial for me? You can do it so much better than I can.
Yes, commercial calls. We would like to invite you on Saturday, this coming Saturday from 12 to 4 p.m. to our online women's experience. This is where you can be unmasked, unfiltered, unashamed. So we're inviting you to come out, release yourself, relieve yourself of any duties of being a woman, come out and enjoy and feel empowered.
Yes, y'all. I mean, we will have this phenomenal speaker that you see right here that is joining us. Um, today. Miss Andriana Jones will be there with us on Saturday. She's going to be talking about finance, and we're going to talk a little bit more about our finances and the righteous money moment. But we're not just going to talk about finances on that day. I mean, we're going to, let me get this right, y'all. We are going to dance. We're going to dance. Yeah, we're going to dance. It's a party with a purpose. We're going to dance. We're going to sing. We're even going to journal. So I ask you now, if you're coming, you're going to be a part of the experience. Please make sure you have a journal in front of you. We're going to have a journaling moment. We're going to have a moment where we do some deep breathing and meditation. Go ahead now. Make sure, like, I'm already making plans of where my kids will be so they will not disturb me from 12 to 4. So from 12 to 4, what will not happen is you will not be sitting in a chair from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Okay. You won't be sitting in a chair from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. You're going to be up. You're going to move. We're going to take breaks. We're going to do, I mean, it's going to be interactive, and we want our presenters to also provide you with an interactive experience. So it's not as if you're just going to be sitting listening to them talk for 4 hours, but there will be some very interactive experience. So y'all are not talking much to me tonight. I need to see your comments. So drop me some comments in the comment bar. Let's have some conversations if you have questions. This event is absolutely free. It is free, y'all. But yes, there is a but. I am asking you to make a donation. Our proceeds will go to Killingsworth, and Killingsworth is a home, a residential home for women who are in crisis, who are in transition, and they need a place to live. And so they come to Killingsworth and they stay anywhere from 6 months to sometimes 2 years to just be able to put their life back together, and go and have a fresh start. And y'all, when you think about it, it can happen to any of us. Any of us can find ourselves in that situation. And so we want to be able to be a blessing to the women who live in that home, and to be able to provide them with some of the things that they need during this pandemic. So speaking of pandemic, hey Keisha, thank you for tuning in. Speaking of pandemic, let's talk about our finances, because one of the committee members did ask me, will you touch a little bit on finances during the pandemic? You know, how do we, you got people in so many, I personally know people in so many different places. I know people who have more money than they've ever had before, because, maybe they are a minimum wage earner who are not able to go back to their job. So they get an unemployment plus an additional $600 a week. I know people who still have not gotten unemployment, have still not gotten a stimulus check, and are a single parent, with no income. I know business owners who've gotten bukus of loan money, who, it's great, but it has to be paid back. They're just women who are just in so many different spaces during this pandemic. How do we navigate it all? How do we navigate our finances during this pandemic?
I think it really, as you just said, it kind of depends on the situation. When you have those people who have, they do have kind of that financial stability going in, and for a lot of people in that boat, there is just kind of business as usual. But for those people that are struggling, it can certainly depend on the situation that they're in. But the first and foremost thing that we do is we trust God, and we always ask for His guidance. And even when I'm talking with people or mentoring people or having sessions with people, God guides. But the type of things that we can do is, again, when the whole world shut down, one of our weeks, our righteous money moments were, God has reset us. What have we learned? And so in that, it talks about all of these things, some of these things that, one, we feel like we cannot live without. I have to eat out. I have to buy these things. I have to have all of these subscriptions, Netflix, what is there, Apple TV, there's Disney Plus, Hulu. I can't even name all of them. Some of them that are things that we have felt like that we can't live without. And one of the people that I follow, Mr. Dave Ramsey, he talks about in times of crisis, you cover the four walls. So you take care of those things that are the most important things. You make sure that you have shelter. If the funding is there, you make sure that you have food. You make sure that your health is in place and that you are able to access the things you need to access. And you also, if you have a job, you need transportation, whether you're driving there, taking the bus. So those are the types of things in the time of crisis that we deal with. We make sure we educate ourselves about resources that might be available. So just like we use social media for watching, live videos, and we use it to interact with people, we use it also to find resources. If you are in need of food, you search for churches or organizations that may be doing food banks. There are, especially here if you're in the Augusta area, there's the CSRA EOA that helps with energy assistance. So there is a lot of help out there. So while we're sacrificing those things we may want for the things we need, we also look for and we find the resources that are able to help us to meet those needs if they be available. And so I just encourage people to, one, seek the face of the Lord, one, take care of the things that need to be taken care of, the main things, and also always not being ashamed to say, I need help. Sometimes people are willing to help. Sometimes people are willing to help with groceries, with bills. I know even in school districts, you do a lot to make sure that families are taken care of. But sometimes it's just a matter of somebody saying, I need help. I am in this situation. I have not gotten my stimulus check. I have not gotten my unemployment check, those types of things. So just being open as the body of Christ, it is our job to take care of each other. That is our job. The Lord says there will be people standing at the gate, and I will say to you, when I was hungry, you didn't feed me. When I didn't have clothing, you did not clothe me. But all at the same time, sometimes God lays people on our hearts and he says, help out so-and-so. But sometimes that is not always the case. So if we don't open our mouths and tell people that we trust that we're in that situation and that we need that support, then people don't always know, and they're not able to help. There are those of us who have gone into this pandemic, and we have been fortunate enough to be okay. No income has left my house. My savings and all of those those types of things are still intact, for my family. So we help out as much as we can, but we have to know those things. And if you need resources, ask for them. We share a lot of things online. We're sharing through email and through Messenger, all of the food banks and all of those things that are in our area. There are organizations passing out tissue paper. And I can remember one report where some of the playing field, became obvious that, in some ways God is leveling the playing field. When it was a church in California, and the pastor was just talking about people coming through in Mercedes and Beamers, not because they didn't have the money, but there was no tissue paper in the stores. There was no hand sanitizer in the stores. And people who had money could not find what they needed. They did not have the resources to even purchase. So we have to keep our eyes open, listening to the voice of God, being led by him, but also being open to relationship with people so that people can get us to the resources. We know that it's one thing to be wealthy in terms of money, but social capital is an amazing thing. I may not have what I need, but if I know somebody who can get it to me, then that is still such a powerful tool. So again, we take the righteous side of things and we listen to the voice of God, but we also leave ourselves open to, one, seeking help and asking for it if we need it, but also being accepting of that help coming from whatever resource that God seeks to send it. We don't know how he'll bless us, but when he sends a blessing, we receive it however he sends it.
Man.
I'm in here trying to write down type notes. I'm sitting here listening. I'm like, okay.
You taking notes already? We're not even at the conference yet, y'all.
I only talked about one thing. I only talked about one thing from the pandemic.
Okay.
But I only talked about one thing.
Okay. Now we cannot give away all the nuggets.
Gotta come to hear the rest.
We need you all to register. I'm telling you, it's going to be a great experience on next Saturday. Again, find some childcare or get some activities lined up for your children to participate in. If that's your thing, make sure the dog is taken care of. If that's your thing, do whatever it is you need to do so you can have a little bit of uninterrupted time. Bring your journals with you, bring your water with you, get your snacks there. And let's just come together and let's just talk about things that we as women need to talk about. And you'll have a forum. You'll be able, we'll have to limit it, but we will have some questions. If you want to be able to ask some questions, we're going to be chatting throughout. And I just want women to walk away, just saying, whew, I really needed that. Like, wow, hey Montez. Thank you. And Larisha, I don't know. I know I see the link here, but I'm not sure if the flyer, if this platform will allow us to drop the flyer in just so people can see the flyer. We have a great lineup on Saturday. Montez, get your wife registered. Ask my sister, my Sora, to go ahead and register for this event on Saturday if she is able to attend. We are going to be talking a little bit more about our finances, and I want to, when I think about those who are experiencing the surplus during this season, because there is a surplus that's going on. I think you may have mentioned that earlier, but those who are experiencing the surplus this season, I want us to make sure that we're very prayerful about where and how we are directing that surplus, because it is great. And I do believe when the word says that the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous, but when we get it in our hands, we have to know what to do with it. What are you going to do with the money that comes into your hands? And I posted a question here. I'll put it up. But what are you going to do with your surplus? When that begins to come into your hand, I mean, some of us have different approaches, and I believe the answer to that question can be as different as our situations who are on this platform tonight. But you need to be intentional about doing something with what comes in your hand. I used to do this thing when I first got started, like really looking at my money and trying to make sure that I knew where everything was going. I heard this and I gravitated to it. Every dollar, every penny has an assignment. Think about that. Every penny has an assignment. So no matter what money I get, if I get $100 today in my hand, I need to be intentional and have an assignment for that $100. Okay, I already know I got it in my hand. 10 of it is gone. That's my belief. 10 of it is gone. It's gone to the church. And then there's another 10 that's gone. It's gone to me. So my rule is to always try to live off the 80. I don't live off the 90. I want to live off of the 80. But then I realized that for me, and just in my growth and my walk, that my tithe is the least that I should do. That's the very least. And so now I'm just looking at this money, probably now down to $70 that I'm looking at. What is the assignment for that $70? Will it go to my rainy day fund? Will it go to pay on a bill? Will it go to get my nails done, my hair done? What is the assignment for the money? And when you get in the habit of assigning every nickel, every dime, every penny, it's hard to waste money. It's hard to waste it once you've given it an assignment. And so what are you going to do with your surplus? This is a great time to, if you have debt and you need to get out of debt, this is a great time to get into debt. This is a great time if you don't have 6 months of living expenses saved up, that rainy day fund. This is a great time to save that money. A great time. So it's not for you to answer. If you want to answer, that comment box right there. Type your answer in the comment. But what are you doing? And this not just for our ladies, it's for our guys who may be watching us today. What are you doing with the surplus that you have? What are you doing with it? So I want us to think about that. On the 25th of July, I want you to join us for Unmasked, Unfiltered, and Unashamed from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Keisha tells us that we need to clean up. It's a great time to clean up our email, our unsubscribe from the stores that we receive regularly ads. I tell you, it seems like every time I unsubscribe, I don't know, I just get more. Anybody else? I really have been trying to clean out my emails during this time frame, because what happens is when you don't, you keep getting those ads and you just want to shop, because we're not, most of us, not everybody, most of us are not going into the stores. And so I've had this gift card to a store for like forever. I've had the gift card for over a year. So I didn't feel bad about this, but I went online and I was like, okay, I'm going to use this gift card. And there was about $30-$40 on the gift card, and the store was having an amazing sale. And I may have ended up spending $8 outside of the gift card. But y'all hadn't shopped in so long. And, I just feel like we have been in sheltering in place. And usually I am a shopper who have to try my clothes on. Well, you can't do that. Even when you're going in the stores, I got a witness on here that can tell you that. You still can't try them on. Everything I bought was too big. Now, when I said that, one of my friends was like, "Oh, well, that's good. Like everything was too big." But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I just gained all this weight. That's what I'm thinking. So let me just get a size up. Everything was final sale. So now I'm left with like 5 shirts that I can't wear. One is such that it can be altered, but the others, maybe there'll be giveaways for the Unmasked, Unfiltered women experience. They're very nice shirts, very nice shirts, and I can't wear them. But what happened? I got tied up with that email. You get those ads, final sale, this kind of sale. Even if I say I only spent $8, it's still $8 more than I would have spent if I wouldn't have been receiving those ads. And so, thank you, Keisha. That is something. That is something to think about. How we're doing this. We have on the day of the experience, and this is something that I do, and I want to ask you, Larisha, and I want to ask you. I was about to say Tasha. I want to ask you, Tasha. I want to ask both of you. We're going to have a session near the end of the conference, near the end of the experience on Saturday, where we're going to take time to journal. And I believe that journaling is so important. It's so important and it's so therapeutic. And I know even when it comes down to my finances, one of the things that I do is I do write down. I'm a lot. I write down my spending plan. I write down where I am, what debts I'm aggressively trying to eliminate. But I just write down my feelings and what's going on in life. Talk to me about your journaling. Do you journal? How do you enjoy it? Do you not journal? I realize everybody doesn't do it, but either one of you, do you journal, and can you share a little bit about that, as we're going to have somebody who's going to do pop-up journaling with us on Saturday?
Okay. So for me, I would per se call it journaling. I don't keep a notebook or anything, but my phone is kind of my lifeline. As things come to my heart and to my mind, whether it's just my thoughts or whether it's just things that the Lord is reminding me of or telling me, I tend to take out my phone and just sort of write those things down, which essentially is journaling.
Yes.
And sometimes I journal out loud. There are days when my heart is full and I have full-blown conversations with God, or sometimes even with myself. May seem crazy, but it is a way for me to get my feelings out without saying those feelings in an appropriate way or in an inappropriate place, so that my heart is just not filled with those things. And so sometimes when I'm writing, I'll just sort of say those things out loud. And when I get to a place to where I've stopped or made it to my destination, try as much as I possibly can to go back and to write those things down. And I often find that as I look back, especially when we're looking back at this time last year, a couple years ago, we find that some of those things that we write are still so relevant to us and to my life. But sometimes even looking back at those thoughts helped me to see, oh, wow, God has really blessed me. He really helped me to grow, in that area. Even when I look back, like you said, when it comes to finances, with my budget, I do a year-long budget, and it's one file, and I'm looking at it all year long. But just sort of looking back just really helps us to see how far we've come. And even those things that we haven't grown as much as we thought we had. And so for me, being able to express those things, whether it's out loud or whether it's in a written format, just helps to kind of clear my heart and my mind. And it also helps me to just sort of think through things that I may have been feeling, but maybe didn't even have the words for as I begin to speak, or as I begin to write. Just things just sort of start to flow out of me that I really didn't even know was there. So for me, whether out loud or whether on paper or written in my phone, it just helps to sort of cleanse my heart and to put those words in writing.
Love it.
Ditto. I can say that I give you 3 instances that I journal. So I love to drive. I love, like really love to drive.
Wow.
And when I'm just commuting to a store, I'll just talk. I was like, God, okay, what you want me to do? What's next? What's the plan? And just sitting there. Sometimes I ride with no music at all, just talking. Because it's just a way to kind of release everything. Again, as you said, releasing what's on your heart, just having an intimate moment with God. And then also I journal as well because I am a minister as well. So one thing I do in order to make a connection to God, I have my quiet moment, my quiet space to see what's my next level in ministry. So what will He have me to do for the youth, for young adults? What should I do next? And then recently, I made my budget plan after coming off a conference, a virtual conference. So I made sure I made a budget plan. And then when my sister said, she said to me, "Oh, you making a budget plan?" And then 2 weeks later, she was like, "You know what? I think I need to use your plan. What kind of plan do you make?" I said, you talked about me using my journal, use it to budget, and now you want to use it. I said, okay, I'll let you have it. But it's just a way, as you said, just to release yourself. Because as females, we do so much stuff at one time. We can do like 35 different things in probably like a day.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
It's just a way just to release, because sometimes people don't really understand where you're going, but when you put it out on paper, you just feel like it's gone.
Mm-hmm. It does. Or even when you release it in the atmosphere. And I like what
Mhm.
both of you are saying. We have this written piece, whether I'm typing the comments into my phone or I am just releasing it out loud to God. The main thing is to get it out. It is so therapeutic. It's so therapeutic to be able to get this information out, release it into the atmosphere. And I, like you, I do both. I have a bookshelf actually full of journals. I will say I journal. I wrote in physical journals more in my past life than I do now, but I still journal. Um, but I use this phone. I have probably over. I know I have over 1,000 notes in the notes section on my phone. Over 1,000 because it keeps account. I have over 1,000, and a lot of those, over half of those notes, are just me journaling things that I'm writing down, things I'm getting off my heart. Equally as much, I don't have 1,000 of those, but I have probably at least 100 voice notes. Y'all use the voice memos on your phone? So I use the voice memos. So I too, when I'm in the car alone, like having these conversations out loud, but it's always something I need to remember. Like if I'm in the car and God is speaking and we talking out loud about this thing, I'm like, I need to save it. And so I will grab my phone, because before I used to grab a pencil and a piece of paper, like while I'm driving, the paper on the steering wheel, and like hold it and try to write. That is so dangerous. Like, don't do that. Please don't do that. But I'm like, where's an envelope? Where's a piece of mail so I can write down? Because I feel like anybody else, I feel like God is like giving you something really good and you need to get it out. Like, I need to save this because I may not remember when I get back. Well, I have stopped doing that. And I will pick up my phone and I will use my voice memo. And whatever it is I feel like God is downloading to me, I will press record and I will put it in that memo. And I always start off with the date. I feel like whenever I'm journaling, whatever I'm writing down, to me it's so amazing to attach a date to it, because when I go back and I look at the stuff that I wrote years ago, or the stuff that I'm saying God said years ago, and when I see it manifesting, it's something just so amazing about that. And I really love that. Erin says she uses her voice memo all the time. And so does Keisha, said the same thing. But I go back now and I listen to these messages, and I think that that's just so important again for us as women, because we're not all women. I do have a couple of friends who just like, I don't like talking on the phone. I don't like talking on the phone. But generally, a lot of us, we are talkative, or at least we want to text to get stuff out. And so I find that talking to God, I mean, what better way? I love it. I love talking to God and putting it in this memo form or putting it in a journal. So, ladies, those of you who are on, I'm going to ask you, it's not too late to share this broadcast. We have about 20 more minutes of conversation, so it's definitely not too late. Please share the broadcast with others who you think may be interested in what we are talking about tonight on this episode of Faith, Family, and Finance. And we really are looking at our finances. And I think it's just so important and it's so crucial for us as women, as even we're gearing up for this conference, to be able to make sure that we're in a good place with our finances. I came across a lady, and many of you will know that this story is probably a common one, but I introduced a budgeting concept to a group of ladies 2 weeks ago. And we followed up on it last week, and we'll follow up on it again starting tomorrow. And I had a lady in the group who told me, I don't really know anything about finances. I downloaded a simple budget or spending plan off of the internet. I had an extensive plan, but I downloaded a simple plan because this is somebody who's starting from ground zero. So when you talk about somebody who the women that we come across from all walks of life who doesn't have a place to live, just got a job, a minimum wage job, I might add, doesn't have a cell phone, doesn't have anything, but I'm looking at her and I'm saying, you need to create a spending plan. And she's looking back at me like, lady, what are you talking about? Because I don't have anything. So why am I creating a plan? And I am trying to stress to her, no, but you still need a plan because you don't have anything today. But that doesn't mean you won't have something tomorrow. And as we're preparing for this conference, we've all been getting in this space of writing down our quotes and things that mean a lot to us so that we can share them. And one of mine that I've just held on to is that if you can't see it, you can't seize it. Yeah, somebody type that. Larisha, you got it. You can't see it, you can't seize it. And so what I was telling her is, don't look at and think about your budget from a standpoint of where you are and what you have today. You have this minimum wage job. You're going to at least make, you're going to get 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week. You begin to plan from there and do an actual where you are today, but even a where you want to be. You want a cell phone. You want to be able to get your hair done. That was one of the first things she said to me. I need some dye to dye my hair. I want to do my hair. You want some lashes, and I'm grateful that I'm in a space where women who know the needs of women, someone had donated some lashes. So I was like, here you are, honey. Just because you don't have two nickels to rub together, you don't have to look like it. Here you go. And she put those lashes on, and somebody did her hair, and somebody donated some clothes. But she still needs to know the importance of having a budget, because this is what she said. When I was married, my husband did all of that. And I don't know anything about money.
Wow.
I don't know anything about money. And I think, unfortunately, so many females find themselves in that situation. When I was married, or when I was in my daddy's house, or when I was here, or when I had a job, I didn't have to worry about this. We need to take charge of our finances, and we need to know how to. We need to know how to make it work. We need to know how to work it. What do you have to say on that, my good Reverend Jones here, Tasha?
It's the absolute truth. When it comes to our household, I know that, in today's time, lots of times, our households are all inclusive, where we're sort of helping with everything. The wife and husband, we're helping with the children, we're helping with everything. And even though, one of you in your household, or whether you have a roommate or whatever your living situation is, one of you may be stronger in the area of finances. So maybe you take the lead on things, but you need to be informed. You need to know how to access accounts. You need to know what the budget is. If your spouse or if somebody gets sick, like, the bills still have to be paid. If somebody passes away, the bills still have to be paid. And if someone, you're not together anymore, and you don't know how to access the bank accounts, you don't know how to go in to pay the mortgage and those types of things. So you could actually fall into financial distress, or, fall into having bad credit, not because you don't have the money, but just because you don't have access to the accounts and you don't understand the financial situation you're in. Or also, there are cases where there's a woman, and you don't know what the finances in your home look like, and you feel like you're okay. Your husband gets sick or passes away, and you find out that there are mounds of debt, or that your situation isn't what you thought it was, yet you're still responsible for getting out of that situation. So whereas if it's going to impact your life, you need to be informed. The word of God says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. And people tend to think that means that he's just talking about the word of God. He's talking about every area of your life. So if you want to be financially successful, if there are people in abusive relationships where somebody's holding money over your head, you have to stay with him, because you don't have any money of your own. You don't have a bank account of your own. If you leave him, you have nothing and you're starting over. So even the fear of life, and one of the things we're going to talk about on Saturday, so please register, is how your money is bigger than just your money. Your money impacts so many things. This is not just about money. This is about the devil trying to hold your life hostage using money. And so the more we're informed, the more we know what's going on, so that if something happens, even if we're not per se the finance person in our home, we can pick up those pieces and keep on moving. And so we don't find ourselves in situations where we can't take care of our children, or we're having to pay off debts that may not even belong to us, or people getting divorced. God forbid. Hopefully we're speaking life over marriages as well, but God forbid it should happen. And now you're in a financial situation. You're not able to get access to the account. So you have a husband who is hidden money, and you're saying that money is there, and your lawyers are saying, well, where is it? Where are the accounts? What are the account numbers? Where's the bank that this money is in? If you're not informed, then the devil can utilize your lack of knowledge, again, to hold your life hostage, and to even make you look stupid in sitting in court. Sitting at your children's school, you need to pay off the lunch balance, and you don't have access to the checking account. You can't go buy clothes or get your hair done without asking somebody permission. That is not the life God designed for us to live. So, lady, know those numbers, know about those accounts, know where your family stands financially. And if it's not right, it's time to say, let's get it together. It's time to pray to God about direction, getting husband on board if he's spending too much. Something has to be done about that, because if it impacts your life, you should have a say so in
it. Amen. Let me are y'all getting a lot of feedback from me?
Yeah.
Y'all getting a lot of feedback? Mom, you have to turn your phone off or down. So I had to bring my mama on the phone, y'all. No, I don't want to get on camera, but I had to bring her on the phone. And so we're gonna let her share, as well as we're talking about this space and our finances and how life just happens. Like you said, we speak in life in all situations. But just how you can, when you think you can't overcome, how you are able to overcome, and that you're overcoming because of the God that's in you, and God is directing you and guiding you. And so I'm gonna stop. Mom, do you want to share with the listeners? I think everybody can hear you.
Yes. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Sharindra, for this opportunity. I would just like to say that. Of course, during our finances time, one other thing that we need to always remember is that we need life insurance. And so many times we just overlook that. And that has been one of my pet peeves here lately, is that we need to think of our family. And most people call it a life insurance, but I would call it a death insurance. And they leave that burden on their families. So I would suggest everyone with a budget, if they would just take a moment and when they create their budget, to make sure they put life insurance in there, and make sure it's enough to cover the expense and leave enough for your family to live off of for a few years at least, because now their income is missing from the household. And I never was taught that until my older age. And now I think that this is something very important, that young people who are starting their budget and planning for their finances, that they should take that first and foremost.
I love it. Thank you. Because what happens is the older we get, the more expensive that policy is going to cost. So let that be your word right there. The older you get, the more expensive that policy is going to cost. So if you're in a space right now, and that is something that you can, go ahead and do it. It's not an if, because it's something that we are all going to need. That we know for sure. Like, we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that is all something that we are going to need. So definitely go ahead and position yourself and get that taken care of. When I'm when I'm thinking about funerals or having to do those types of things, there are three things that always come to mind that we typically that I typically like to offer up, or whenever we're doing a homegoing ceremony, or that's going to take place. That somebody's going to bring the chicken. That somebody's going to bring the cake. As a preacher, if I'm there and I'm a part of it, I'm going to always offer Christ. But the question I always have to ask is, who's going to bring the check? Like, who has the money? Are we gonna have to pass around a bucket? Is there a plan in place? We got all those other seeds taken care of. Well, what about the check? Because we do not properly plan. So I am pleased to announce that for this virtual summit that is taking place on Saturday, that Reveal Wealth is a company that is offering a giveaway, and they're going to offer a free financial consultation to one of our lucky participants, and they will talk with you through your policies, make sure you have all those things in place. So I am excited about that. And y'all, that is just one of about 20 giveaways. So let me get this right, Larisha, they're not paying anything. And we have giveaways.
That's true.
They're not paying anything. And y'all, when I say nice giveaways, like one of the giveaways on our committee call, I just was like, can we just not tell anybody about that one? Can I have that one? There's a fabulous makeup artist here in Columbia who's giving a free makeover. We have shoes. I don't know who wears a size 10, but hey, we have like new shoes. Obviously,
I do.
Oh, you do? Oh, two people just said, I do. Some cute sandals. Let me tell you about these sandals. They are so cute. We have obviously some shirts now, since I just said I have these brand new shirts that, but we have gift cards. They are just, so we have books, because some of our presenters are published authors. And so we are going to be using their material. And that's going to be some of the giveaways as well. We have some other beauty items, because again, like I said about this lady who talking about her budget, still, ladies, there's a part of us that still wants to be able to look a certain way. And so, yeah, if someone is donating a makeover or beauty essential products, these are things that we can benefit from. Michelle said that GoFundMe is not insurance. Thank you, Michelle. Unfortunately, we see it a lot. And Michelle, I didn't mean to forget your question earlier, but Michelle did ask earlier if high school age students are able to register and to attend the conference. And I would definitely say high school age students. I mean, the information that we're going to be talking about is not anything that they are not either already experiencing or will experience in the very near future. So we would definitely welcome them. As Keisha is also saying, that when we start having these conversations about our budgets, we need to make sure that we pull our children into these conversations. And so, Tasha, I'm going to let you also, I know talk about your children and like what goes on in your house as it pertains to finances. I know your son Malik is an awesome drummer, y'all. I actually want to get my kids figure out some kind of virtual drum lessons or something for these.
He's offering them.
Babies over here. Yeah, so I love that. They have that entrepreneur spirit. So talk to us a little bit about them and their money and how they get their money and like what is being said, because many of us who have these negative images and depictions of money, we got them in our childhood. We heard all the negative, money don't grow on trees, and all these things. And so talk about how the conversation goes down in your household.
Okay, so for us, it starts quite early. We have a 17-year-old, 13-year-old, and an 8-year-old, and pretty much the conversation has always been the same when they get their allowance. My oldest son has probably played drums and piano for churches since he was about 8. And we've always had those conversations about saving your money, making sure that even at an early age, they do have accounts that are in place when they want to spend money on things. We're always having conversations about not just taking your whole account and just going splurging on one thing. If you can think a few months out and think, well, how long would it take you based on your income? How long would it take you to save for that rather than dipping into your money? And if you have to, if you're investing back into your business, my 17-year-old, 13-year-old, they're, both entrepreneurs, in business. on this year, and we're talking about expenses. So whenever you make your money, whenever you're doing lessons, whenever you're doing a setup, my daughter is doing tumblers. She's a part of a business right along with my sister, and so talking about all of that money doesn't belong to you. A lot of that money belongs to the business. So whenever you have to buy more tumblers, whenever you're buying sticks or getting drum heads, that comes from the business. That doesn't come from your parents. This is your business. So the same way, in our household, we put aside money to buy things for the house, to take care of the house. You have an expense account for your business. So when you make money on tumblers, part of that money is yours. Part of that money goes back into the business, so that when somebody has an order, you don't have to say, well, I need my money up front, or I need to ask my parents, because you don't have the money to pay for that. From the beginning, we talk about tithing. You don't spend a dime until God get what belongs to him. It's not yours. You're not giving God anything. It belongs to God, so you give that to him. You give your offering. If there are people in need and you want to be a blessing, do those things. So we try to relay the idea that you will not start where we started, that we have started something and you're going to take that to another level in your lifetime. But that takes practice. Now, you don't wait until you're fully grown and you have a full salary to put sound financial practices in place. When you start that when you're young. So sometimes they're having conversations, knowing that, but did you remember to take your tithes to church? Because sometimes we ask that. And so sometimes we're hearing them asking each other that, as they're doing those things. When they're going to the store, my 8-year-old, I don't know, he's probably going to be super rich one day. Maybe not because he has $1 million salary, but because he hates spending money. He gets his money, he's gonna pay his tithe, and then his birthday is in December. He still has money from his birthday stashed away until there's something he has to have so bad that he's willing to spend that money for. But most of the time he's not. So, we're quite proud that we've sort of instilled those things that my mother instilled in me, that I got away from, as a college student and a young adult. But we're just really determined that they're going to continue those practices. And so we don't want them thinking, money is a bad thing, or that money is something that you have to be worried about not having enough of. If you plan for it, if you know you're going to need these things, plan for it now. Decide how you're going to get what it is that you want without breaking the bank. When you're 25, I'm not paying your electric bill. I'm not paying your mortgage. I'm not paying your car note. You're going to have to be a self-sufficient adult. It doesn't mean I won't help you, but while you buy $200 shoes and Louis Vuitton purchase, I will not be paying your utilities. And so those are the types of conversations that we have. You're going to be an adult.
Listen, I gotta stop you because I did not know Michaela was making tumblers.
She is.
No,
Yeah.
I never seen this. I didn't know, and I've been trying to get tumblers for the conference. I didn't know Michaela was making tumblers. So
You started in January, maybe. Yeah, January.
I need y'all to call me tomorrow.
Okay, we'll
We
do.
need to make this happen.
We'll
This
do.
is so amazing. And I did reach out to someone. I'm trying, as best I can to support, and as this is for females, 5 females, 4 females, but also to support other female entrepreneurs. And I
Right.
did reach out to another one to try to get some, but it didn't work. So please let's talk
We'll do.
tonight, tomorrow.
Okay.
Let's talk tomorrow and let's see if we can make this happen. Y'all. I am so delighted. I mean, I can't believe it's 9:59. Oh my goodness. I am so delighted. You just said a whole lot right there. And this is why, Michelle, that teens can come on this platform on
Absolutely.
Saturday. We definitely need them to come on. The younger they are when they get this information, I think the better it is. I remember being in my early 20s, getting inundated through my church with so much financial information, which is one of the least likely places where we get a lot of this information. But I grabbed hold to it like with a fresh set of eyes, and I just embraced it and just started implementing it. And slowly but surely, every year I feel like things got better and better and better. And the more we learn, the more they continue to improve. So thank you, Tasha, for sharing with us today. We are excited about our conference. Thank you to I have it's an amazing conference committee. So thank you to the conference committee who've been working so hard. I would love for all of you to register. If you're on this platform tonight, if you haven't registered already, to please register, to please continue to still share this platform with others, as the links will still be live and they can go in and register at a later time. But they can go to Eventbrite and look for the conference information and register. I look forward to talking to you ladies on Saturday.
Absolutely.
Again, thank you so very much. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for another episode of Faith, Family, and Finance. We'll be right back here next Sunday, live at 9 o'clock. I'll probably be talking about the conference, and Marcus will be talking about whatever he wants to talk about. So join us back here next Sunday. We look forward to seeing you. Take care. Bye bye.